guys, Kai here. So today I'm going to run you guys through how I drew the Bella Hadid Vogue cover illustration. And I want to just show you guys the inspiration from this cover. Obviously, it was the Vogue digital cover. It was back in March, I think. So yeah, and it was inspired by Funny Face, the romantic comedy featuring Audrey Hepburn, and I just think it's a gorgeous cover. Bella looks amazing, and it just adds that little touch that it's a moving cover as well. So yeah, let's get into the video. Okay guys, so basically I start off with the outline of um, the whole image. Bella was sitting down and she had her arm around her waist. I didn't actually capture the start of this, so please ignore that part. But yeah, I basically start off with that, and then I personally I get really excited, so I go ahead and do the background, and I love adding the color, so that's kind of one of my fatal flaws, I think. So I think I've gotten a bit better nowadays, but basically you see I get really excited and go straight into the color. What I used here was um, for the outline of Bella herself, I used the shale brush, which is, if you use Procreate within calligraphy. Then with most of my coloring, like the rough coloring you see with her dress, there's like a whole chunk that's like kind of like a triangle coming up to her armpit area. That's just using Jagged Brush, which is within painting. I really like that brush in particular. I think it just brings something a bit rough around the edges to the images, and that's kind of what I go for. And later, I often use the brush that I was mentioning before, shale brush as well as chalk brush. I feel like the chalk one is a bit more rough than shale, so if you want that sort of rough charcoaly texture, I prefer to use chalk rather than the charcoal brushes, which they do have a whole set of. Okay, and then so here I am adding the shading to her face. What I did here was I have a set of I've made my own color palette for skin tones, and I just revert to that when I'm doing anybody's skin. So I choose the one that I think is the closest. But here with the shading, I'm doing the same to the dress. Here you can see I'm doing multiple layers of shading. So I go and color pick the color from the dress, and then I just eye it. I go to the color picker and go a couple tones darker, and then potentially darker again after I do a first layer of shading. And remember, throughout this whole process, I'm making multiple layers, like for this drawing. So it's I always keep my outline, the initial outline, on its own separate layer, and then background, including potentially the dress color in this case, on its own layer below the outline. Some people like to put it above the outline, but I sort of like showing the outline of her body over the top of things. um, yeah. Anyway, that's just a personal preference. So what am I doing now? So I think I'm doing the feathers right now. Oh yeah, so the first round um, I thought it was not dark enough. I basically color picked the color from the hat and went quite a few shades down, um, and just added more and more feathers, just pressed a bit harder, and I'm pretty sure I used the shale brush for this one. And yeah, don't forget to add shading to anything really, just to show depth and bring it from 2D to 3D as much as you can. So now I'm just writing out Vogue. Vogue, this, because it's such a squarish font, I think it was quite easy. You could just visualize the lines and then add the curves in as you see them. So like the O is just like a rectangle essentially with curvy bits on the end. And I like to keep it very rough when I'm writing text. Although I did find just writing Bella was quite frustrating. I think later I redo it anyway. So yeah, it's fine to redo things as long as you keep in mind that you have multiple layers. So I'll show you guys my layers later actually. Okay, so now, yeah, so because in the beginning I added a bit of that background detail, just the general block colors, I now am just putting the extra detail on that, so adding those darker lines to, I think what's a piano, that purple bit, and the door frame and some weird, I was really not sure what that rectangle was in the left. Please let me know if you know what that is. Yeah, so now at the very end, I just add some highlights. It's not exactly what you would find in the magazine cover, but I think that's my general style. I just like to add a bit of that white all over the place. I think it gives it that sort of rough kind of look as well. So here I'm adding a slightly lighter cream color to Vogue itself, and just before I just redid Bella, the text Bella. So yeah, I think that's it. What else did I do? I think that's the last bit. I think I might, oh yeah, I added a bit to the eye here. I wanted the eye to pop a bit more. Sometimes I get a bit, you know, a bit nervous that the blues are too blue. So even if your subject has blue eyes, remember to tone it down a bit, because in real life, your eye isn't that blue. So I think I did tone it down a little bit, added a bit of that darker blue color, kind of almost gray. Yeah, so this is the final piece. I was pretty happy with it, but yeah, look, when I look at it now, the lips weren't ideal. I wish I had spent a bit more time and tried to make her happier, like smiling, because I think the video showed her smiling. So yeah, at that point, I just wasn't that confident drawing smiles. Still, probably not the best either, but thanks for watching my video and tune in next time. Bye. Okay, hi again, guys. My bad, I forgot that I was going to also show you the back end as well. So I'll just briefly run you through the various layers that I've made. So you might be a bit shocked that in the end, I actually only have 7 layers here. And also I noticed that my different layers, I don't know why, but 3 of them are all named layer 7. That's a bit strange, but I can probably explain why. So yeah, basically if you want a better quality, higher resolution image at the end of your journey, you do need to sacrifice your layers. So that's why I have such minimal layers here. In a moment, I'll just show you each of the layers stacked. I'm going to unstack all of them right now. And now you'll see at the very bottom, sorry, I'll just put it to the left first. And at the very bottom, I put the background layer. You noticed in the tutorial, I actually did this second, so I do rearrange my layers. The next one is the outline layer, which I actually draw first. Okay, that's a bit confusing. Next is the color of the dress. Sometimes I actually put it at the bottom behind the outline. Yeah, and then a bit more detail outline for the hat. Now the shadows of the dress. And I like to do the details of the face on another separate layer here. Okay, and then the details of the background. So the lighter colors I tend to put on its very own, very last background there. And if I don't have enough layers left, I will go ahead and add my my signature to that layer as well. So as long as the different different things on your layer are not touching. So, for example, the Vogue text and Bella Takes Paris text is quite far away from my signature Soy Street, as well as those highlights. So I felt pretty comfortable to make that all on the same layer. So those are the considerations you do take when you're using Procreate to create layers. So yeah, making sure things aren't touching, so that you do, if you do find you need to go back and redo that. Yeah, so okay, I'm just showing around the dress and just the details if you were ever so interested. Okay, cool. So that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching.